All right, so now that he gone, the Cowboys gonna pop out to be a top 10 run defense, right?
Hell no.
Motherfucker going on a podcast, a young guy on your team, and they saying name the top shooting guards. He named everybody but Gill. That's how Dak looking at you naming the top 10 quarterbacks. Dak not in it. Still, if they still trash against the run, if he strike out on the free agency signings that he gonna do, if he strike out on the draft picks, then shit, it was a fucking terrible trade. If he hit on them, it's a good trade. So everything is hypothetical. We don't know what the fuck gonna happen.
Also, look at Cowboys fans are up in arms about this. But I don't know why you're up in arms about this when Jerry has had a formula for 30 years of how he builds teams. He had, seriously, think about it.
That shit
you just talked about Charles Haley but Charles Haley was brought in.
He was.
Deion Sanders was brought in.
He was.
But how did he build his team? I'm gonna have my quarterback, my running back, my wide receiver, but he builds every team around one position. The O-line. The 90s, we can say the Cowboys' 90s offensive line, a lot of people agree are arguably the greatest offensive lines we've ever seen. Yeah. When they had a resurgence, what did they do? They brought in Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, and Zach Martin.
They did.
They had Darren McFadden, who was a dynamo at Arkansas. He couldn't sniff 1,000 yards in the league. What did he do when he got behind this line?
1,000.
Got 1,000 yards.
Yep.
DeMarco Murray, incredible player, offensive player of the year behind the offensive line. This is what he's done. Then he just so happened to stumble into Dak. Zeke, behind the offensive line, led the league 3 years in a row in rushing.
He did.
He already had Dez Bryant. Then he's bringing in pieces around that. Jason Witten was already there. Let's go to right now. What is Jerry doing? He's drafted offensive linemen to build around the quarterback, and then what did he prioritize? He brought in George Pickens. So now I got my offensive line in place. I got my quarterback. I got my 2 wide receivers. It's plug and play back there, running back. Now I start piecing around. I can't do that if I give this one person all this money. But
real quick, what he's hitting on is something that I learned watching my years watching football, and I'm specifically talking about the 2016 kind of era when Dak and Zeke came in the league. That's when I realized that to me, the most important position group on a football team is the O-line. And the reason for that is because the O-line will give you a great running game. If you have at least a decent, a league average running back, it'll give you a decent run game. It'll give your quarterback time to throw the ball. And what that does is it keeps your defense, no matter how good or bad your defense is, it keeps them rested on the sideline, right? And whenever your defense comes on the field, they're always rested because the offense is able to dominate time of possession. So when the defense comes on, they're able to do their thing. They're able to get the ball back. They're able to do, a 3 and out, stuff like that, whatever case may be. Boom, you get the ball back. You can run the ball all day. You could, and then by the time halftime comes along, if the opposing defense can't get you off the field, now guess what? Now you're gashing them. Through the run game, through the pass game, what have you, play action, you're able to gash them. So that's what I watch the Cowboys do. Now, real quick, I'm a Giants fan, right? Oh, God, I'm a Giants fan. So just to get that elephant out the room, right? But I've watched the Cowboys build their team from beginning when they drafted these guys from a young age. And then, they were able to contend. And it is what it is. When you get into the tournament, you know what I'm saying? You need a lot of things. You need a lot of moving parts to go your way. But that's here nor there. But he has a point because from what I saw in the Cowboys, I saw the Cowboys do it twice. I also seen them do it in the Tony Romo era with DeMarco Murray, Dez Bryant, Jason Witten. I seen them do it twice where they had an elite offensive line and they were able to have a phenomenal regular season. Phenomenal. And so he's clicking on all cylinders. Let's keep it moving.
What I can do, I can bring in Kenny Clark, who knows how to stop the run, in the middle where they've struggled at D-tackle, 2 first-round picks because we draft well, and now I can spread this money around to build my team. That's how Jerry's always worked.
I'm an offensive guy. How much does he weigh? About 245? Right?
About 250.
Yeah, so if you're Baltimore and you have Derrick Henry back there, I'm going to target the guy who's going to try to walk me down. I'm going to go right at him because I know he can't stop me going full. That makes sense. Barkley. That makes sense. You're going to just run through his chest. This is no different than Rudy Gobert, right? He is a great defender at the basket.
Another analogy.
Right. pick and roll, bring him out here.
You're
we're going
right.
to target him. That is not a penalty against that guy. It's a sign of respect, right? We know what he's weak at, and we're going to target it because we don't want him to affect the rest of the game.
I understand.
So
100%.
if his job is to stop the running back from hitting on the outside, what do you think is going to happen now? When he's gone and you're plugging in the middle, where do you think they're going to run now? Outside.
They're going to run that Dante
Yeah,
Fowler
they're
now.
just going to run on the outside. It's going to be the same thing.
So
Yeah, but
you're
that-
still firm on it was dumb. You're set on that. Dumb by Jerry Jones.
If you can spell Cowboys and dumb, it's, yeah. They
Okay.
They've
Okay.
been dumb for 30 years.
But
Like,
it's the
it's
same, right?
30 years.
Dumb.
So like
30
this
years.
blueprint he's been
Right.
doing for 30 years hasn't worked.
Does anybody know what Gil's favorite football team is? If you know what his favorite football team is, drop it in the comment section, because whatever team he is a fan of is a rival of the Dallas Cowboys.
It
This
did
is
work
not
before.
the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, go a level deeper. You three were locker room leaders. The closest thing.
Whoa,
Nah, I
Skip,
agree with
don't
that.
get- Whoa, Skip, you heard about my locker room.
You know what? But those
Nah,
guys
for real.
looked up to you as a scorer. They did, because you could go get 50 on any given night. So they're going to listen to you.
Hell yeah.
DeMarcus Lawrence was the closest thing this team had to a leader. He was hurt all last year, and then he took another nice deal. He's late in his career, and he went to Seattle. And he told the Seattle media, my home's in Dallas, but I left because I'm never going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas. And Micah fired back at him and said, that's some clown shit on Twitter. And DeMarcus Lawrence fired back at Micah on Twitter, and he said, well, if you didn't tweet so much and cared more about winning, maybe I would have stayed. Okay, so that's a leader in the locker room sending the message that he was at least as concerned about his social media image impact as he was leading that team in a playoff game. And then I go back 1 year to my friend Keyshawn Johnson, had Malik Hooker, the safety, who was a first-round pick. He's a 15th overall pick out of Ohio State, a pretty good player, fairly well respected in the locker room. And he said to Keyshawn on the podcast that if I had any advice for Micah, because we're having such a problem with the run game, why are you so focused on your podcast instead of on fixing our run defense? Okay, listen, nobody in the Cleveland locker room, no veteran ripped Myles Garrett. TJ Watt doesn't get ripped by his teammates. Nick Bosa doesn't get ripped. Trey Hendrickson, I can go down the list. That was significant to me that veteran leaders in the locker room took public shots
Nah, for real.
at Micah Parsons.
This is what I'll say to that real quick. And in certain analogies, you can't compare basketball and football in some analogies. You can with some, you can't with all of them. And with football, there's 11 guys on the field. And one guy typically cannot solve the run defense problem. One guy cannot do that. Now, the GM, who happens to be Jerry Jones for the Cowboys, it is his responsibility with supplying the team with players that are good on run defense, right? As is any other team. It just happened. We talk about the Cowboys. Jerry Jones is the GM. It is the GM's responsibility for facilitating players that are good at a weakness that your team has. You can't put the blame on one guy to say, yo, you're the reason why our run defense is bad when it's 10 other guys on the field. And if you don't have the guys that are that specialize in run defense the way Micah Parsons is in pass defense, then it falls on the GM. But since we're talking about the Cowboys, who's gonna tell Jerry Jones he sucks as a GM? So it's multiple ways to look at this, you know. And I look at it. I'm kind of splitting hairs. If we just talking about football honestly, no bias. I'm looking at it. There's multiple ways you could look at it, and it's splitting hairs. Yeah, Michael Parsons, he could do what he could do to to help the team be better on pass defense. But it's not like one guy is gonna solve the entire problem. You know what I mean? If you don't have the personnel that's fit for stopping the run, then what is one guy going to do? It's easy to blame him because he appears to be the best player on the defense. It almost seems like if Michael was the safety, if he was a safety and he was the best player on defense, which is a terrible predicament to be in, you're going to blame him because your run defense sucks. No, you can't do. I don't think you can do. I don't think that's fair. I don't think what Skip is saying right now, I don't think it's fair to Micah. But let's keep it moving. Let me know what you think in the comment section.
That's all I needed to know. They're not buying into his psyche, his approach, his commitment. He's obviously, to your point, he's supremely gifted. He ran 4.39 at 250 pounds. Okay,
That's wild.
you can't find that. It doesn't grow
That's
on
insane.
Southern California palm trees, right? But you can find commitment, leadership, dedication, and I'm talking about cold-blooded killers. That's what you guys know this. You have to have that to play this game.
Got to.
I didn't see it in him. I don't care how fast you can run at how big you are. If you don't really care about being the best football player you can be and leading the Dallas Cowboys to a playoff win, I'm not going to pay you a fourth of my cap. I'm not going to give you more guaranteed money than all but 6 quarterbacks are getting right now because it will be a killer to my team. I'm a Cowboy fan, lifelong diehard since I was 10 years old. I didn't want to give Micah a fourth of the cap because I'd go for 5 more years just throwing up my hands watching them get run off the football field. Okay, the leaders were speaking, and if you guys spoke out against a young, talented player, I would listen. If you spoke out against a first-round draft pick who wasn't dedicating himself to the process of becoming great, I would listen to what you were saying because you know what it took to be able to score 50 a game in the National Basketball Association.
Well, clearly you guys are divided. YouTube, though, 59% are saying dumb move.
Yeah, of course.
But
No
let's
surprise.
pivot. Let's pivot.
Everybody hates it.
Yeah, because
Let's pivot.
That's damn even. That's 50-50.
Gil got him a shorty on the show. He got him a shorty moderator. That's interesting.
But you're attacking his character.
Nah.
Like it's suffering in the game. He is still excellent in the game.
In football, Gil, that locker room shit is crucial.
it
If
matters.
you ain't got no good locker room, then the vibe on the field is just not gonna work. I don't give a fuck what kind of talent you got out there. Football is a communication.
It is.
If I can't communicate with you, if I can't tell you, hey, get your motherfucking ass. If you get mad at me and now we beef, we gonna be trash. So I don't really know what kind of teammate he was. He did a lot of podcast shit to me. I feel like
He did.
a lot of people was frowned upon that podcast shit he was doing. So I do feel like they cleaned the locker room up. They got better in that way as far as cleaning the locker room up. You know what I'm saying?
So it clearly.
I'm telling you, that shit matter, Gil.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That shit
am I the
crucial.
only one who watched the Cowboys, Doc?
Nah, I watched it.
You watched it, right?
Locked in.
It was locked in, right?
Hell yeah.
You was
Yeah, it
locked
was
in?
great. It was
Yep.
So him doing podcasting is frowned upon.
Because he's saying shit,
They
Gil,
got,
like.
they got whole 8 balls being done on a team that
But
was
that's-
winning championships.
But yeah.
Hold on real quick. Let me chime in real quick on this. Because this could be said about a couple of guys doing, like Paul George. He's doing podcasts in the NBA. When you're winning is the ultimate deodorant. When you're winning, a lot of things could be forgiven. But when you losing or you're not good at a certain area, and it's Stevie Wonder could see that you're not good in this specific area of the game, it's easier for people to point at certain things that you doing, that you doing this, but you could be doing that. And that's the reason why we suck in this area of the game. If the Cowboys was running undefeated and they were going all the way to Super Bowl, nobody would say anything about Micah Parsons doing a podcast because we're winning. But because we losing, now we gonna nitpick everything that you doing or not doing as, yo, you wasting 5 minutes over here when you could spend an extra 5 minutes watching film or extra 5 minutes with the coaching staff trying to figure out where they could plug you at to put you in a better position so that we could be better at stopping the run. So this is what's happening. And the reason why the Cowboys are, or at least the veterans, based on what Skip is saying, is because they were really bad. If Skip brought it up, when the Saints played Dallas last year, like week 2, 3, 4, whatever the case it was, the Saints scored like 4 or 5 touchdowns. Running the ball. They scored like 4 or 5 touchdowns. It was somewhat of an embarrassing loss. And from that point on, they looking at Micah as the best player on the team. And we suck on this part of the ball in this specific area of the game where you could be better at, but you doing podcasting. So it's easy to point at those things. Let's keep it moving.
That got nothing to do with the vibe.
What I'm saying,
Maybe it was 10 or 12 of them doing.
Of course, because the whole damn team was high. But that makes sense.
But when you go on the
But
podcast,
if the whole team is high, that mean we doing it
we
together.
vibe. So Gil,
We all high.
Bingo.
We doing it together. You get
like-
high,
That's
I'm
like a
getting
motherfucker-
hot.
They were
All right, so we
they
all
were
hot.
bonding.
Yo,
Okay.
that's like a motherfucker going on a podcast, a young guy on your team,
Yeah,
and they saying, name the top shooting guards. He named everybody but Gil. Like motherfucker, you gonna look at him in the locker room like, nigga, I ain't one of the top shooting guards, nigga, I'll slap the shit out you, fam. Like, that's how Dak looking at you naming the top 10 quarterbacks, Dak not in it. Like, you just creating friction in the locker room.
Yeah.
and That's what I'm
the
looking
guy.
for,
No, I
fam.
get-
Like, you know what I'm
okay,
saying?
yeah, you
You fucking up the vibe in here, fam. We need a vibe to win this chip.
Yeah, that stuff that Michael was saying last year in a post game interview, some of that stuff was crazy. I was like, yo, like, what's that about? But Aqib, he got a point.
You're supposed to lie on your
You're supposed
team.
to lie. You gotta lie on your pocket. Even if you don't you gotta lie, fam. Just say Dak. Put him at number 2, number 3,
you got
at least.
yeah.
All right, so we're going to end the video right there. Listen, Dallas fans, tell me what you think in the comment section. Do you agree with anybody? Do you agree with Aqib? Because Aqib, he dropped some gems. Skip dropped some gems. Gil dropped some gems. I believe that is Levonte David on the left. Somebody drop in the comment section and let me know who that Tampa Bay Buccaneer is, who that former player is. I believe that's Levonte David. But everybody has a point. There were certain things that I disagree with. I particularly disagree with blaming Micah individually because Dallas is not good in a run defense when football specifically is a sport where there's 11 guys. So being that there's more guys on the field, it's really harder for one player to influence the game to that magnitude where you can literally make him responsible for the run game. And that's pretty much what some people are doing and how some people look at it. I personally don't believe you can make one guy responsible for the entire run defense when there's so many moving parts that he has nothing to do with. So many moving parts have to be in efforts to make the run defense better, like starting from the GM. You need to be able to facilitate players that are good at run defense. Then after that happens, you need the lineman coach. You need him to be in sync with the linebackers coach. Then you need him to be in sync with the defensive coordinator. Then you need the defensive coordinator to be in sync with the head coach. Like, okay, when they have this personnel in the field, it looks like they're running the ball. So let's get this package out there so we can run the ball. Micah, if you have the players that's good at run defense, Micah probably wouldn't be on the field. Now, in me saying that, it's the last thing I'll say. Skip Bayless, I believe, had the best point because Skip Bayless and Levonte David, if that's who that is, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. What them two were correct on, Skip Bayless did not want to pay Micah over $40 million, the highest pay that a non-quarterback will have had in NFL history. Skip Bayless did not want to pay Micah that money when you're just good at rushing the passer, right? Now, Levonte David, if that's his name, what he pointed out was you could take that money that you would have paid Micah and now you could spread it around to make your defense more balanced so that you could be able to rush the defense. Or you could be able to stop the run. You know what I'm saying? So they had phenomenal points if we thinking about this from a business logic, right? When there's money involved and you need to be underneath a certain cap of which you can pay your roster and have players that are good at this, good at that, or good at a bunch of different things. You know what I'm saying? So I think all of these points were great points. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. If you like my videos, stay tuned. I have 2 more videos linked at the end of this video. Also, I just started a Patreon. I'm going to start uploading videos on my Patreon. I'm going to drop the link down in the description. And I just want y'all to know that the videos that I will be posting in Patreon will not be videos that are made with YouTube guidelines in mind. So if you want to see those videos, if you like my videos, I have more videos on Patreon. Why don't you tap in and let me know what you think. Peace.